Today, we're diving into one of the most intense survival stories you will ever hear. It's the story of a lone climber, a 6-day fight for her life, trapped on one of the planet's deadliest rock faces against, well, what seemed like impossible odds. So, picture this: an elite team of 4 climbers. They're at the absolute top of their game. They've trained for months, and they start their climb full of confidence. But the mountain, it had something else in mind. As this quote says, this wasn't just a climb, it was a trap, just waiting to spring. So let's talk about the real antagonist of our story. We're heading to the Swiss Alps, to a mountain called the Eiger, and more specifically, its North Face. Now, this place has a serious reputation, and among climbers, it's known by a much, much darker name: the Murder Wall. To give you an idea of what we're dealing with, the Eiger is almost 4,000 meters high. Its north face is this terrifying, near-vertical wall of rock and ice that has claimed over 60 lives. It's not just a challenge. Climbers consider it a true well of death. It's one of the most dangerous climbs in the world. Now, this wasn't some casual trip. This was a huge, high-profile expedition called Project White Death. It was sponsored by a major gear company, and the team of 4 climbers had gone through 6 months of intense, specialized training just for this one ascent. This was the big one. And at the very heart of this team was our protagonist, a 28-year-old climber named Elena. Now, Elena was an absolute force of nature. She had a decade of experience, had already summited some of the world's deadliest peaks, and her passion is what drove her to face this ultimate test on the Eiger. Okay, so it's February 12th, 2005. The team sets off from base camp, and for the first day, everything, and I mean everything, goes perfectly. They're moving like a well-oiled machine, spirits are high, it's the perfect start. And the conditions? They were beautiful, deceptively so. A temperature of -10 degrees Celsius with light winds, that's actually considered pretty good for climbing in the Alps. It was almost like the mountain was lulling them into a false sense of security. And let me tell you, they were prepared for anything, or so they thought. They had all the best gear: tons of food and water, top-of-the-line ropes, ice axes, satellite phone, GPS, the whole shebang. They were ready for a multi-day climb, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared them for what was about to happen. And here we go. This is the moment it all went wrong. On day 2, at 3,200 meters, the mountain suddenly showed its true colors, and it was brutal. The team was crossing a huge ice field when suddenly this deafening crack just ripped through the air. An enormous chunk of ice just breaks away, and in an instant, it sweeps the team leader, David, and 2 other climbers right off their feet, leaving them just dangling in the void. Elena, who was positioned just above them, she braces herself, holding the safety line with everything she has. But as the rope pulls tight, it grinds against these jagged, razor-sharp rocks. And in one horrifying second, the tensioned rope is sliced clean through. And just like that, it was over. In the blink of an eye, her 3 companions, her entire team, they just vanished into the abyss. And the silence that followed, well, you can only imagine. And this is where Elena's real fight begins. A solitary struggle for her own life. She is now completely alone at 3,200 meters, stranded on this tiny, unforgiving ledge with absolutely no way up and no way down. I mean, her situation was beyond dire. The ledge she was on was barely 2.5 feet wide. The jolt from the rope snapping dislocated her shoulder. Her phone and GPS were smashed to pieces. All of her food and water, gone, lost with her team. All she had left in the world were 2 energy bars. This nightmare stretched on for 6 long days. On that first day, she somehow manages to dig a little snow cave just to survive the night as the temperature plummets. But it takes until day 4 for any sign of help to appear. And then it's ripped away by a storm. It would be 2 more days of hell before she knew her fate. You see, the weather went from being an ally to being a killer. The temperature dropped to -40 degrees Celsius, winds were screaming at over 100 kilometers an hour, and visibility? It was a total whiteout. The mountain itself was actively trying to kill her. And trapped there, in this frozen hell, her mind started to break. It wasn't just a physical battle anymore. The pain, the isolation, the sheer exhaustion, it led to these terrifying hallucinations. She started seeing her friends, hearing them call her name from the darkness below.
On that fourth day, a rescue helicopter finally appeared. Can you imagine the relief, the hope? But the storm got worse, and the pilot was forced to turn back. This quote just says it all. Watching your only chance at survival just fly away. The despair must have been absolute.
I mean, at this point, you really have to wonder. After all that physical trauma, the mental anguish, a failed rescue, what could possibly be left? Could anyone really survive this? And this takes us to the final, unbelievable chapter of this story. Because the rescue attempt wasn't over, and the truth of what actually happened on that ledge, well, it turned out to be even more chilling than the cold itself. 48 hours later, a specialized German team made a second attempt, and this was an incredibly risky long-line rescue. A rescuer had to do this daring pendulum swing just to get to her ledge, and when he got there, he found her frozen solid, her gear literally locked in ice. He had to use a hammer to break her carabiner free before they could finally be pulled to safety. When they got her into the helicopter, her core body temperature was just 25 degrees Celsius. Medically speaking, she was nearly dead. She survived, but the cost was huge. Severe frostbite meant she lost the toes on her right foot and 3 fingers on her left hand. But here is the most shocking part. The official investigation revealed what really happened. It wasn't bad gear. It wasn't a mistake. Forensic analysis showed that a single, sharp, blade-like piece of rock had fallen, hit the fully tensioned rope at the perfect angle, and just sliced it clean through. It was a complete and utter freak accident, a cruel 1 in a million chance. And that's what we're left with. This powerful, humbling idea. Elena survived, yes, but the murder wall served up a brutal reminder. A reminder that no matter how skilled we are, how prepared we are, in the face of nature's raw, impartial power, a human is truly nothing.